Hello everyone, my name is Taylor Simpson, probably better known as Neoxareki, or of course, T-Man-Dude291. I am the creative behind this YouTube channel and the video that you are currently watching. So, what am I doing right now? Why am I on camera again? And what's going on back here? Well, I'm working on a new setup and making some changes into the channel, but that's not the purpose of this video. If you've read the title, then you would know that back on June 9th, I celebrated my 10th anniversary. Or, sorry, June 7th. I'm getting my own dates wrong, I apologize. June 7th was the anniversary, and I wanted in order to have a massive video ready to go for that, but it just didn't come in order to be. And I had slept on it, got too busy in work, and just was unable in order to produce the video that I wanted. So this is the alternative that gets to the point of that video. And now you might be thinking, just like, wait, you've seriously been around on YouTube for 10 years? And yes, I have been. I created my channel back on June 7th of 2013, and it's now 2023. And to think that I have been doing this for as long as I have, honestly doesn't hit as hard, because in truth, this isn't the first YouTube channel I made. This is not the first project I was ever a part of in order to do. It's just the first one of my own making. So, I'm going to take you back in time. We're going to go all the way back to 2007. Yeah, I've been around on the platform since 2007, when I was a 10-year-old. You see, back then, I participated in a film project for my uncle, who was always kind of the eccentric in our family. For reference, he went through multiple different types of phases in his life, whether it be from schooling, military service, in the Marines, and then finally what he does now, which is photography. But in the process of doing photography, he wanted to create a film trilogy. And of course, he wanted in order to make sure that if he was going to be doing a film trilogy, he needed actors, and he wanted in order to tell a story involving his kid and his beloved nephews. So he wrapped me, my brother, my cousin, and our father into a film project he called Diamond Heist Revenge. We filmed it over a single weekend, took the time in order to piece it all out, edited it over another, and then burned it onto DVDs, and then got a good laugh out of it with the family. And then we decided in order to upload it to YouTube because, well, it was the platform. It was a platform at the time. It was the premier platform. Google had just bought it a year prior, in 2006. And, the most popular thing going on at that point in time was, Fred. So, a long cry from what we would eventually become. But I have been around on this platform for so long since then, and sadly, due to a multitude of reasons, including fear of being doxxed, as well as also some violations of COPPA, we had in order to remove the actual footage of Diamond Heist Revenge, and due to my own embarrassment, the footage will never see the light of day again. I personally stuttered through my lines. Yes, I did used to stutter as a kid, and it just is something that I am partially embarrassed by, but looking back on my life, it is the start of my career, or what I wanted in order to be my career, essentially. So, where do I go from there? Well, simply put, I was still, young, naive kid. A little bit after we got done shooting the film, and a little bit after we had to remove it, sadly, and from what I understand and what I remember, there was a decent viewing. People watched it. I don't know if anybody who watches my channel now would have memories of it, but it's something that did happen. But either way, though, my involvement in the YouTube scene from that became a lot more passive as a viewer and a watcher. Throughout middle school, I ended up encountering individuals who helped me further and understand more about the YouTube platform over time. Primarily those being Jacob Martin, my good friend, who you probably know better as RCT3 is Epic, or Roller Coaster Tycoon 3 is Epic. He's also, of course, known as Close to the Sun, and he most recently celebrated his 10th anniversary under that name for 10 years of creating the music, to which case, massive congratulations to him as well. But either way, Jacob was always the fun individual. He took the time in order to make the content he wanted to make. At that point in time, it was videos on Roller Coaster Tycoon 3 and YouTube Poops Up VeggieTales. And Steven Tyler, but that's a whole other story for another day. But he helped introduce me to individuals on the platform and helped me explore a growing side of the community that existed but wasn't entirely a thing yet, and that was the gaming side of YouTube. Now, this was around about 2008 leading into 2009, and if you were part of the scene back then for gaming, you would know that there was pretty much only 3 individuals that anybody was actually watching at that point in time. Those 3 individuals were the Game Grumps, Peanut Butter Gamer, and of course, Captain Sparkles, who has been playing Minecraft for years and years and years on end. But a little known fact, before Sparkles started doing Minecraft and all of his music videos, he actually did a series on Happy Wheels, of all things. He's actually one of the first people in order to upload content based upon the game up to the YouTube platform. And I found inspiration in that, along with a bunch of other people who were uploading stuff onto the platform at the time. Like, and again, some stuff I probably shouldn't have been watching at that age, such as Roka Ali. But either way, though, my time with YouTube throughout, my brief success as a 10-year-old, was just taking the time in order to sit down, watch the platform evolve. And I wanted to get involved back then, but fortunately I did not own any video making content. Or I should say, video making devices. The only camcorder that I had was this tiny little toy camcorder that saved on an SD card that only had 2 gigabytes of data, and the only method in which of powering was AA batteries. And a tiny crappy little microphone that you couldn't even hear any of the audio coming from when you watch the replay in the viewfinder. So, and yeah, it was just one of those weird things. But I knew I wanted to get into filmmaking and I wanted to get into photography, so I took those as electives in middle school and started piecing together skills with early forms of Windows Movie Maker, a little bit of Apple Movie Maker too, iMovie. I believe it's called iMovie back at that point in time. And just learning these different platforms that you can either to piece together to different video making softwares. And I got a hang of those throughout middle school. Leading into 2012 and 2013, I entered high school, and that's when I got involved in my first YouTube channel, which was Spartan 306 Studios. Now, this was a channel that was created with my friends from high school, and for reference, my middle school experience, as I explained a little bit in my Undertale video, was absolutely terrible. I was bullied a lot. I took the time in order to just be as vengeful as possible because I was a little shit who was reflecting on his environment, essentially. Like, I got angry, I got mad, I would try in order to beat kids up. That was only because I was getting picked on. And then there was the 2 weeks I had to be pulled out of school because I was given a death threat. And, that's stuff that I don't like in order to think about because it pushed me to a very, very dark place at the time. But because of it, though, I made what is probably the best decision in my life, and that was to look into alternative schooling besides my local school that I had for high school, because I knew that's where everybody was going, and if I went there, I most likely would not have survived till the very end, nor found my passions. So what I decided in order to do is I decided in order to look into other schooling. I found out about this amazing place called the Center School in downtown Seattle. And it is a 300 student max across all 4 years high school, and to any artist or creative living in the greater Seattle area, I cannot recommend this school enough. It is a safe haven for artists, and they fight like nobody's business to protect that right. Yeah, you're going to be on your own for taking care of your PE hours, but I mean, I was able to clock my walking to and from school just fine and get them all done within the first year. So no major issues there. But anyways, while I was there, I ended up encountering some friends. I ended up making some new friends, thanks to the help of one of the individuals that I knew in middle school. And from there, I ended up having a greater friend group that I could hardly ever replace. Some individuals who I still work with to this day, such as Matthew Skelly and of course, my good friend Chance Hopkins, better known on the platform as Brain Bucket Gaming. And sadly, Chance and I have since parted ways, and I wish him luck in whatever endeavors that he continues in order to do so. But thanks to him and a few other individuals, we decided in order to start a YouTube channel called Spartan 306 Studios. Now, the idea was that we could each record something individually or together and upload it onto the platform and use it as a hub. But, unfortunately, the only videos that ever got uploaded to it were me and Chance playing rounds of Portal 2, and I believe we had recordings for a session of Black Ops 2 multiplayer that we did that was never uploaded. But either way, though, the splitting of Spartan 306 Studios honestly comes from a little bit of pettiness. You see, Brain Bucket decided it was a good idea in order to try in order to one-up his sister, because his little sister saw we were doing YouTube. She started uploading her own videos and then got into some really interesting problems with, what's the best way I can put this? With it sounding... Adult males who like in order to target children. So, thankfully, nothing came of that, and she pretty much ignored all of the comments and just uploaded in order to do what she did. But because she was a young child, she ended up getting more subscribers than what we were doing, and we thought that we were creating pretty good content. Even then, though, said content was taking a camera and pointing it at a TV screen. But you have to start somewhere. But either way, though, from this, we decided in order to have some of the usernames that we came up with. At the time, he went with Brain Bucket 8, and I went with T-Man Dude 291. And I eventually turned that into my own channel when we decided in order to split off Spartan 306 Studios into what was essentially a hub wheel format. The idea being that we would be collaborating in between a bunch of different channels, bringing it together in gaming, and then have one channel act as the hub, and then have all the other channels act as their own, supporting on the spoke wheel. This is a method that was used primarily throughout the time by Vanoss Gaming, as well as a few other channels within the Minecraft sphere, including Hermitcraft. But, and who you can argue who the middle of the spoke is in Hermitcraft, that is an argument for everybody else in order to figure out. Not me. But when it comes down to that, it's a very effective method of quickly getting subscribers and working together. Now then, that plan didn't fully go to fruition because just of how we ended up collaborating and who we collaborated with, as well as what got pulled around. But, thankfully, I just wanted in order to take the time in order to say, this is what I want to try in order to do, have fun with. A lot of my early time on the platform under my own channel was just furthering my own music playlist, commenting and talking with other individuals, and honestly causing shitstorms online. And believe you me, I have sins, and I have things that I have done online that I will always regret, and I have apologized for profusely on multiple occasions over the years. I do not have to go into them here on my YouTube channel. Those are more related to the art platforms that I've been involved with over in the past, such as DeviantArt and For Infinity, and again, my apologies to the individuals I have wronged and lied to in the past on that one. So, but when we get into my actual content creation, I finally was able in order to get a camera and put in a little bit of research in order to figure out how exactly you go about recording your computer, and that's when I actually started uploading. I used a camera from 1997, ran a 16GB SD card on it, no microphone, and of course pointed it at a TV screen still, and just did what I could with what I had. Eventually, when I did get a microphone, I started using programs such as Overwolf, and was able in order to get screen-captured recordings, and then of course I just built my YouTube platform from there. Eventually, I did get what we refer to as a game capture card. I specifically use Elgato. And that's when I was able in order to up the quality of my own content, editing in Windows Movie Maker for the first 2 years of me actually putting out videos on the platform, until I finally found out about a free editing software called HitFilm. And that's when I started editing in HitFilm and piecing together higher quality content and trying in order to bump my own quality. So for the period of 2015 through 2016 was just me mostly experimenting, uploading to the platform, and doing what I wanted to do, doing what I loved. But at the same time, though, I was managing high school, managing classes, and just trying in order to piece together my life, especially throughout 2016, which was my graduation year, which came with a lot of complications and a lot of workloads in order to be done, especially because I was training in order to become a video game designer and animator in one of my extracurriculars that year, along with taking an advanced placement government course, an advanced placement biology course, which I had in order to drop out of, sadly, as well as pre-cal, which I also had to drop out of, specifically in order to put further into my animation course, because that's what I wanted in order to focus on. Thankfully, outside of the AP government course that I had to take, the other two advanced placement courses I took were not mandatory for my school. But one of the requirements in that advanced placement course was, of course, I had in order to create basically a product in order to go along with some type of social injustice that I saw at the time. And I, at the time, was becoming more and more involved in the furry community. And this is, again, relating back to my personal history. I knew I was a furry all the way back in 2008. I held on to that secret for a long while. I revealed it at the final year, my 8th grade year in middle school, and basically ended up getting trashed for it. And nearly ended. So I hid it from everybody for a very long time, and I finally became comfortable with it in 2015. And even then, I only revealed it to my family and my closest friends, who were very supportive of me and my choices and decisions. And of course, I finally became more open over the summer of 2015, leading into 2016, when I was fully okay with saying that I was a furry, and was one of the first things I revealed to my class. And that's what I did as part of my whole thing. 2 years prior, in 2014, there was the attack at Midwest Fur Fest, and I was still pissed off. There was a lot of social injustice at the time, a lot of misconceptions strewn against the furry community, and I wanted to do something in order to combat it. So I had an entire thesis paper written up about it. I had an entire PowerPoint presentation, and of course, I had my documentary as my product in order to go along with that. So that's where Furries, a documentary comes in, and got uploaded to the channel. And I think at the time, that was the most popular upload that I had. It still might even be the most popular upload that I have to this day. Mainly because another video that was incredibly popular actually got deleted about last year. This time last year, I think. But either way, though, after the graduation of high school, I was on high cloud 12, and then that's when crushing reality hit me as I started applying for jobs. First I tried in order to get into my animation course, and I was denied because my artistic skills were considered inadequate. From there, I then had in order to just essentially move on, get myself into the workforce, and it took me a year. It took me a full year in order to finally figure out what kind of a job I could do. There was 2 moves in between, and trying just in order to piece my early life together. When I finally did get a job, it of course came with a whole bunch of different things, a whole different learning curve. But at the whole time, though, I still wanted to produce content. I still wanted to make videos and do the best that I could, but the job came first, and my content suffered because of it. I was able to get back into the groove of things, making the type of videos I wanted in order to make, changing slightly up with the kind of content that I was doing when it came to gaming, reporting, and that kind of stuff throughout the era of my YouTube channel. And then finally, we reach my lowest point in my life, when I had to leave the city. And because my family was moving out, I was expected in order to get my own living situation sorted. I ran out of time. I had to move in with my father, and that became a few years long era of depression, physical body issues, high amounts of stress, and just not being in a good place. Really, really not being in a good place. Which came to a head in a 3-month stint where I lived on my own for the first time, and I just ended up going into full-on depression. And even then, during this era of depression in 3 months, I was still creating content. I was still trying in order to produce more things, because I wanted to get out of my job at the time. I wanted in order to become a content creator, which, of course, by that time, had become way harder in order to do due to monetization. See, back in the day, it used to be once you start earning $100 in ad revenue, that's when YouTube starts sending you the checks. And instead, they changed the monetization rule to be, okay, well, now you need 1,000 subscribers, and you need a certain amount of hours of watch time produced. And yeah, it's hitting that milestone, trying in order to promote myself and getting my YouTube channel out to others for new subscribers or other stuff like that is stuff I am not good at. I've tried building this platform for 10 years, and I've just barely scratched the 300 mark. Now, and thankfully, YouTube has recently made some changes that might lead that to change, and I'll get into that in the end of the video. But basically, across these 10 years, like in that 3-month period, I was just in a really bad place. I needed in order to get out. Thankfully, my family, specifically my mother, came to my aid, helped me get out of where I was working, helped me get out of the place I was living and the terrible bit. I got help. I got into therapy. I started understanding more about who I was, and we looked towards types of jobs for me to be able to work. I ended up signing up with Amazon, and still had some of my issues continue while I was within the workplace. We were mostly confused about that. And it was hampering both my ability in order to produce content that I wanted to make out of, a tiny rinky-dink bedroom, along with just trying in order to figure out what I was going to be doing for a living, figure out what I was going to be doing with the rest of my life. And so we looked into seeing if there was any other mental health issues that I had that went undiagnosed. I mean, I was already diagnosed years ago as a kid with dysgraphia, which is the inability in order to write on paper. And I have beaten that into submission over and over and over again to the point where, yes, I can write, and yeah, I can write at least decently. But actually having it being legible and competent to where others are understanding my handwriting outside of my own name is difficult in order to do. And that's why whenever I write anything, it is typed on the computer. But I keep on just trying in order to reflect back on my own stuff, and sorry if this has a little bit more of a depressing tone, but it's, early morning for me when I'm recording this, and I'm just playing everything off of memory with no script. But either way, though, finally in 2019, we were able in order to get an answer about what was going on with me, with official diagnosis, and that, of course, was that I was a high-functioning autistic. And suddenly, a lot of things in my life started making sense. Everything from the mental issues that I deal with to my physical issues that play off of my mental issues. And so we just took the time in order to say, okay, this is what it is. See if we could try in order to get accommodations at Amazon and continue doing there. I made an appeal to Amazon's HR department about getting getting accommodations. And then next thing I know, I was being fired for being 6% under productivity. So as far as I know, the HR department might as well have just shredded my stuff. And but either way, though, I was super dissatisfied with the work anyway. About 2 weeks later, I ended up getting to work at a theme park once again. The first job I ever worked at was theme park-like. Go figure, I get to work in a theme park again. And I enjoyed it. It was some of the most fun I've had. But of course, it's a seasonal theme park, so it only is able to provide a job for a while. I ended up working a stick at McDonald's because that's what my brother was doing at the time, put in a good word for me, and I was able in order to get work there. And that's what I did up until the pandemic. And but still trying in order to produce content, still having ideas, still writing scripts and piecing together things I wanted to be able in order to do, improving my life, getting myself better with being able to be outside, actually getting my driver's license, being able in order to just do things with my life. But the pandemic was a very, very rough time for my family. Everything from my mother getting divorced to both of us moving back to Seattle, my brother trying in order to go through college and eventually dropping out of college because he had to prioritize work because he literally could not afford his courses. And it's not getting any support from who he was living with at the time either in helping with that. So it was a very, very rough time for all of us, and we all became kind of, I want to say, lost. For a while, like a good while, I feel like that there was just kind of this loss of things trying in order to figure out, and just bad luck, like a lot of bad luck. I tried finding work all throughout the pandemic, and I could not get it. And when I finally did, it was, opening up a clothing store and having a bunch of legal issues coming from it, from me popping off of unemployment, all kinds of other crap. But either way, though, that's personal issues that don't relate to the YouTube channel. What does relate to the YouTube channel is that I've sort of took the time in order to ask myself the big questions and ask myself, what is it that I want to do with the channel? What kind of content do I want to produce? And I told myself, okay, well, you've been running Sonic Stories for a long time, and you still want to talk about Sonic in some form of capacity, so we'll continue doing that. And then, of course, I wanted, in order to get into my reviews and being big into alternate reality games, and so I started doing content for my own potential ARGs, which I've tried doing 2 so far, and both have failed. And I have multiple ideas for other ones I could pull off, but just do not have the time in order to create viably. Then from there, I also have the short films that have been produced throughout this time for Candy Bowl, which never ended up getting into submission, but that's fine by me. Reviewing them, some of the content in it is good, some of the content in it is bad. It needs a lot of work and a lot of improvement in order to reach the level of quality that I know that I can make. And it just also requires time that I don't have, as I had to prioritize myself in my work and my job. And I'm happy with the job that I have. I'm happy with the amount that I'm paid. I'm not happy about my hours, but recently it looked like it's improving. But with the hours that I do work, though, it doesn't give me a whole lot of time for content creation, and most of my time is just spent in relaxation, trying in order to give myself new ideas. And when I say relaxation, I mean simply playing games for the sake of playing the games, not for the sake of reviewing them. And I'm trying in order to get myself to a point of where I can talk about content and review content on a more regular basis, but it's incredibly difficult in order to do when my mind is always distracted, running a mile a minute. Of course, I run out of time on the recording and cut off, so reiterating what I was saying before, just trying in order to piece myself together with what kind of content I want in order to produce, and it's a struggle for me in order to finally reach that point. But I think I'm finally now at a point of where I know what I want to do with the channel and where I want in order to take it. And it's had multiple different changes in the past. I've tried multiple different ideas, and looking back through my YouTube history and through the content over these 10 years, I just realized that this is the place where I upload my interests. This is the place where I take what is cool to me, what I like to talk about, and upload it there. And so that's what I'm going to do. Pretty much everything on my channel has a story behind it, and everything that I cover has a story that I enjoy, and that's what I am. I am a storyteller. Whether it is somebody else's story or my own story right now, or a story of my own creation, I like in order to tell stories. So that's what I'm going to do. I am going to review and talk about the stories that I like. And it's going to take me however long it's going to take me, and it's going to be whatever the content I produce. Either way, though, it's a place for my interests. I've had 3 or 4 different projects I've been working on for multiple years now that will finally have some form of closure and release within the next coming year. So, again, I apologize to those of you who stuck with me. Whether you are the first subscriber or the 290th, I thank you for watching. I thank you for keeping with my content and sticking around and watching what it is that I create on this platform, and I hope that I will be able, in order to continue to create content that you guys enjoy. Always pushing myself to higher quality, always pushing the boundaries of what I myself am capable of doing, and hopefully sometime in the future I can make something of it. Like I said before, YouTube has finally gotten to a point where they realize that smaller creators like myself who have been on the platform are not being pushed in the algorithm because we do not have the monetization. Now, they cannot go arc blanc and release monetization for everyone like we did in the past, mainly because it's just not viable. You're going to end up getting a bunch of different types of channels that are going to cause issues. So what they've done is they've lowered the requirements to 500 subscribers for monetization, along with a lower amount of hours produced. My goal over the course of this next year is to produce enough content in order to reach that hour time, and hopefully by the time that I do so, be at the 500 subscriber requirement in order to earn monetization and try in order to make something of this channel. I'm going to be very slow about it. I'm going to be methodical, and I'm going to be producing content. And until I'm happy with the content or get close to where I'm happy with it, it's not going to be uploaded. So my content's going to be slow. It's going to take time. But I can guarantee you that whenever an upload comes up on my channel, it is going to be of the highest quality that I can push myself to be able in order to do with the time that I have and frame. So, what do I have coming up that should come into excitement for you? Well, I've been working on a video series for the longest time that I call Yu-Gi-Oh! For Dummies, and it's a creation process that allows, creative process has been going on for a long while, but essentially it is going to be a how-to series on getting into or getting back into the Yu-Gi-Oh! Platform and being able in order to play the game. This has become especially easier and easier with Master Duel, and believe you me, I will have a segment going over that game as well in a review / playthrough, whatever you want to go with that when it comes to the game. And of course, I also have a review for the Terrain of Magical Expertise that I've been working on. Hopefully I'll be having that wrapped up within the next coming months and have that out. I have my video discussion on the world of alternate reality games, specifically in the world of Source Horror that I'm currently working on. I'll hopefully be able to have content releasing to that not too long from now. And of course, my current project, which is hopefully going to be what I next upload onto the platform, which is going to be Sonic IDW Explained. In a lot of different processes I've been going through, I've just realized that, trying in order to piece together a review for Sonic Frontiers, there's just too much going on there that relates into the IDW comic that I can no longer ignore. It. And again, I'm an IDW fan. I've produced parts of the IDW content as part of Sonic Stories. Because, again, I really enjoy what it is they're doing, and I want in order to share that enthusiasm that I have with the comic. So hopefully you guys will be able to get a sense of that in the future when I finally have the video complete. The script's already done. I just need in order to get the audio recording and the video put together. So, again, you should hopefully see that soon. But, yeah, either way, thank you for joining me for 10 years and joining me for this video. If you happen in order to enjoy the explanation of my personal history with YouTube or whatever, well, I mean, hey, thank you, first off. Again, this is unscripted content. It's just me throwing on the camera, throwing on the microphone, and talking, telling my story to the best of my ability from memory. So, yeah, thank you for watching. And, subscribe to the channel. Help push me up to that 500. Help get us with more people watching the content, more people going through it. I hope I've made stuff that you've enjoyed over the years. Tell me what your favorite video of mine is down below. And, if you have any ideas or any way in order to improve the content, then let me know. I'm always seeking in order to learn. I'm at my best when I am in the learning experience and pushing myself further and further to be better. And that's, essentially what I want to do. I want to be better. I want to be the best. Obviously, interactions such as comments, likes, and that kind of stuff help in order to push the video in what form it can with the algorithm, even though it is unmonetized content, in order to help get it out to other people. And, I think I've said all that I want to say. So, once again, thank you for 10 years, and until next time, this is Team N2291, signing out.